Please stand for the processional. Standing. Let us pray. Creator and sustainer of life, be with us as we gather this afternoon to give thanks for our time at Sweetbriar. Like many meaningful things in life, all was not easy, but with the friendships and other supports from the Sweetbriar community, today we can celebrate our life at Sweetbriar and embrace this time together with gratitude, anticipation, and joy. We pray this. Amen.
Hello, and welcome to the Class of 2026 Baccalaureate Service. My name is Caitlin Umery, and I am one of the senior class representatives. This event is traditionally a religious service, though in modern times it has become a time for the graduating seniors to reflect on our time at Sweetbriar before we earn our degrees. Our exams are over, we are about to officially earn our roses, and we graduate tomorrow. Today we will be hearing from a few of our classmates, as well as our guest speaker. I hope this time serves as a way for everyone to reflect on our experiences at Sweetbriar and the growth that we have experienced, both individually and as a class. At this time, please welcome Nafia Farzana reading the poem The Fountain Awakens by Rabindranath Tagore.
The fountain awakens. For so long it slept in darkness, hidden behind stone, buried in silence, its voice sealed its heart unmoving. Who knew what dream was gathering there? What force was waiting in that depth of stillness? That suddenly morning struck. A thrill passed through the earth, a shiver through the rock, and in one fierce moment, the long silence broke. The closed heart opened. The chained waters leaped free. What had been waiting in secret rushed forward in joy. Wave upon wave, the fountain rose, flinging itself into light, laughing in shining spray, casting its music into the astonished air. No more the hush of captivity, no more the weight of shadow. The imprisoned current had found its path, and every drop seemed alive with release. The mountain heard it, the sky received it. The morning trembled with that sudden song. What had been hidden could not remain hidden. What had lain still could not remain still. The sleeping force of life had awakened at last, and now it runs wild with gladness, breaking through stone, claiming the day, bearing its bright cry from height to height. Out of darkness, movement, out of silence, music, out of long restraint, a fearless rush into the open world. Today, the fountain awakes. Today, the sealed heart breaks open. Today, the lost voice returns in song. And all that was burdened, all that was waiting, all that was held back rises at last into light. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Eleanor Yates, and it is my pleasure to introduce our baccalaureate speaker, Dr. Susanna Nevison. A highly decorated and profoundly talented individual, Dr. Nevison earned her BA from the University of Southern California, her MFA in poetry from Columbia University, and her PhD in English literature and creative writing from the University of Utah. She has been awarded the Charles B. Wheeler Poetry Prize from Ohio State University's The Journal and the 2014 Lexi Rudnitsky First Book Prize. She has written and collaborated on many works throughout her career, the most recent being a collection with Molly McCauley Brown entitled In the Field Between Us, which was selected by the National Endowment for the Arts as a 2025-2026 Big Read book. Her poems and essays have appeared in the New York Times, the Los Angeles Review of Books, Crazy Horse, the National Poetry Review, and others. Beyond these impressive accolades, her work has positively influenced the world of creative writing, and her encouragement cultivates innovation and discipline in the classroom. In my first year, I had 3 classes with Dr. Nevison in one semester. With such a stark influence over my first impression of Sweetbriar academics, she later confessed to me how responsible she felt for whether I chose to stay here or transfer, let alone declare a major in English and creative writing. In addition to her many other attractive qualities, she's obviously convincing and the kind of teacher who keeps you wanting more. Without her hard work and dedication, we may have never survived the Mindful Writer, but more than a degree requirement, Dr. Nevison offers kindness to all and a laugh to those with good humor. She's the backbone of the English department, a spearhead for positive change, and she'll always offer a helping hand should you need it. Dr. Nevison was selected by a vote of the senior class to impart her advice and wisdom on us today, as we reflect in preparation for tomorrow's commencement ceremony. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Susanna Nevison to the podium.
That was quite an introduction. Thank you, Eleanor. Try to live up to that. Thank you, everyone, for being here, and thank you to the senior class for inviting me to speak to you today. It's an honor to be here with you to reflect a little before graduation, and it's been an honor to witness your growth these last 4 years. Thank you for letting me be a part of it. Today, I want to do some version of what I always do in the classroom. I want to attend to the text before me, which is, in this case, you. And I want to tell you, class of 2026, about your enormous capacity for strength and grace and power, for tenacity and generosity, because I've seen it firsthand. I want to talk about why such things matter. But to do that, I'm going to talk a little bit about art and shame and the power of naming difficult things. When I'm teaching, I talk, probably too much, about the ways that attending to the world around us is an act of love. That a writer's job is to bear witness to living in all its messy forms, the daily rituals we never stop to think about, the irreducible, particular gestures of the people we love, the way, if you sit long enough at a subway station, you'll no doubt see a smiley new baby or a young couple in love, and both will restore your faith in the world that you didn't quite know you'd lost. But paying attention is also about ugliness. It's about witnessing cruelty and violence. It's about getting hurt and knowing you've hurt others. It's about failure in all its forms. It's about looking at that which is difficult and hard, because difficulty and suffering are parts of the world too. If attending to the world, if attention is an act of love, then we must learn to see it as honestly as we can. We must figure out how to love it anyway. But learning to pay attention is difficult work. It's an ongoing practice, and at least for me, it isn't a practice that I arrived at easily. As many of you know, I just returned from Paris and Nice, where, with a colleague, I co-taught an intensive course on postmodernism and literary masters. This trip also marked the longest stretch of time I've spent in Paris since I was 20, when I studied there for a semester. As my colleague and I took students around the city, I could feel that earlier version of myself coming back. The version of myself that went to the Musée d'Orsay, where, for the first time, I encountered Gustave Courbet's 1866 painting, L'origine du monde, the origin of the world, which I think must have been the first time I saw an anatomically detailed painting of a vagina in a museum, and was certainly the first time a vagina was explained to me by a male art historian. When I saw that painting, I was taken aback. Not by the subject, that's nothing new, but what I perceived to be an example of a male painter using female genitalia for shock value. What I couldn't yet see was that the painting demands that the female body, no, let's say it, the vagina, be seen as the singular source of the world, and, therefore, all we know the world contains: beauty, power, suffering, difficulty. But at the time, I still balked. So I called my mother. She is an art history major and a graduate of another historically all-women's college, Wellesley, and generally speaking, a reasonable woman. And she told me some version of, go back and spend more time with it. Go back and sit and really look. And so I did. I visited that painting, along with Manet's Olympia and other depictions of female bodies, until I learned to see. Poet Rainer Maria Rilke, in writing about his relationship to learning to see Cézanne's paintings, says, "But everything takes a long, long time. When I remember how strange and disconcerting the first things seemed to me when I looked at them and saw them before me associated with a name I'd never heard before. And then nothing for a long time. And suddenly, one has the right eyes." It's easy to turn away from that which eludes our immediate understanding. Rilke knew this, but he also knew that if we keep showing up, if we keep looking, eventually we can teach ourselves to see. I came to understand a few things about l'origine du monde. First was that my own discomfort with looking at a vagina as painted by a man was because I mistook the painting to be reductive of the female body. But it isn't. And I say it isn't because the painting doesn't attempt to make the vagina appear as anything other than what it is. Nothing is hidden, nothing is adorned or prettified for a viewer's pleasure or consumption. And the title itself, The Origin of the World, bestows upon its subject enormous, incontrovertible power. I want to add here that when I'm talking about difficult art, when I'm talking about depictions of female anatomy, I'm not trying to establish synecdoche for gender or identity. I'm trying to illustrate how difficult or taboo subjects, difficult words, are often the ones that have the most to teach us. Our discomfort is a wonderful guide if we let it be. And as I was learning to see this painting, to appreciate that a painting like that stood in a solid gold frame within the walls of one of the most famous museums in the world, I was coming up against my own discomfort with my body, with language, with representation. Because in addition to learning to see, to attend the world, I was also learning how to navigate being seen, how it feels to have your body as the subject of another's gaze, how it feels to have another person read you a specific way because of gender or disability or race or sexuality. And I was learning how to show up as myself in the world, how to show up despite what other people mapped onto me. And that felt and still feels like a complicated, ongoing project. When I was back in Paris this month, I was urging my students to attend to the world, to learn to see. But I was also suddenly remembering what it meant to step into myself, to take control of my own body and narrative. I was remembering that learning to see the world also made that act of self-realization possible. And I was thinking about all the ways you, class of 2026, have experienced the same thing everyone experiences at some point: stepping into yourselves, owning your bodies, your identities, the ongoing process of naming or renaming yourselves. And I found myself again taken aback at how graciously you've endured a world that won't stop telling you who you are. Over the past 4 years, you've weathered a heated political climate, a heated literal climate, political conversations about what bodies are valuable, whose bodies matter, and where such bodies are allowed. You've endured a world that won't stop insisting you inhabit your bodies or your lives in a particular prescribed way, that won't stop telling you what you're capable or incapable of and why, that won't stop telling you who you are when who you are is entirely up to you. Over the past 4 years, you haven't been afraid to use your voices. You've shown up again and again to difficult conversations about everything from the war in Palestine to our new admissions policy to how to respond to our global climate crisis. You have are living through a time that demands attention, that demands presence. And you've shown through petitions and protests, through meetings and conversation, through truly listening to one another, through holding space for one another, even when it's hard, that you already know what it means to resist the narrative the world maps onto you, whatever that narrative may be. You aren't sitting in front of a painting of a vagina in a museum like I was, wondering how to navigate the world. You're already doing it. And I know this to be true, because despite everything the world has thrown at you, you've done something even more difficult than speaking out. You've stayed engaged and you've stayed present. You haven't walked away. You're here on the cusp of graduating from college because you kept showing up in spite of the ugliness of the world. Because you already know that attention, sustained engagement is a form of love. Because you've managed to make something beautiful these past 4 years in the forms of friendship or art or self-discovery or self-reclamation. And you know how to persist in the face of difficulty, and that sitting with difficulty, naming it, working for accountability is an act of love too. I know this because you've never stopped showing up. But attending to the world is a practice, and it requires continual practice. I'm still learning how to do it. I'm still working hard to show up because the world won't ever stop being the world. When I was in Paris earlier this month, I took my students to see hundreds of impossibly gorgeous dynamic sculptures by Auguste Rodin, and I found myself, unsurprisingly, moved to tears while I looked at a sculpture of, unsurprisingly, a vagina. The 1890 sculpture, titled Iris, Messenger of the Gods, depicts the nude torso of the mythological messenger of the gods as she, suspended mid-air, kicks her legs apart, holds on to one foot. It is a sculpture with enormous power and endless movement, and the movement extends from and then returns to, unsurprisingly, the center, the origin of the world. It's a sculpture of female agency and action. It's a sculpture that renders the power of the vagina infinite and eternal. To stand before it is to witness that infinite power. It is, in a word, sublime. When I was talking with my colleague about this sculpture after our visit, we shared our two very different experiences. While I was looking at the sculpture, I chatted briefly with the French woman next to me who was, like me, moved, who was, like me, stunned and grateful and enlivened to see such power. My colleague, on the other hand, had a different experience. As he was looking at the sculpture, a woman and her 2 daughters passed by. The mother stopped, looked at the sculpture, and scoffed. "She's so exposed," she said in English before moving on. When my colleague relayed this to me, of course I laughed. But then I got really sad. We still live in a world that shames women for having bodies, where women internalize such shame and pass it down to their daughters. A world where saying the word vagina in a baccalaureate address may still be frowned upon. We still have work to do. We still have a long way to go. And attending to the world and paying attention to the world means not turning away from that work. It means showing up and saying the word you don't want to say, despite your own shame, because if you do so, it will be easier for someone else. When the French woman next to me, who was perhaps in her late 60s or early 70s, uttered, "Le vagin," with complete reverence and awe, the power of that sculpture expanded in the air between us. I was no longer a woman alone in a museum having a private internal experience. I was, instead, connected across age and language with another person, for a brief moment, in a shared experience that arose from that woman's ability to simply name what we beheld. That too was transformative. After that moment at the Rodin Museum, I found myself thinking about the artist Sophia Wallace, whose work I first encountered in grad school thanks to a wonderful professor, and then again, weirdly, a few weeks before I left for France, in a documentary called The Dilemma of Desire, which my colleague screened in his class, Contemporary Ethical Questions. Wallace, also a graduate of a historically all-women's institution, Smith, is known for her Cliteracy project, which, in Wallace's words, aims to dismantle the taboos associated with female and feminized genitals. In short, she takes as her subject the clitoris and addresses it through sculpture and image text art. Her sculptures range in size and material, but my favorite ones are small and solid gold, and I like them because they remind me of L'Origine du Monde's striking gold frame. Her work is provocative and powerful, and its power derives, no doubt, from its insistence on naming and looking at the clit, at examining what has so long been a source of female shame and, sadly, medical mystery. Her work does what Courbet's does, what Rodin's does. It restores power and agency. It argues that female genitalia, that female pleasure, isn't something we should be ashamed of, but something we should celebrate. On her website, Wallace sells a shirt that says, in bold gold letters, solid gold clit. I like this shirt. I like it because it names something powerful and beautiful, and because it does so in large, powerful, beautiful letters. I like the sound of the phrase, the way it feels to say it. I like its insistence, its presence. I like the way that reading it aloud dissolves shame. I like that it is specific, and I like that it is loud. I bought that shirt. And then I had to come up against the edges of my own shame. Again, could I, a 42-year-old mother, wear this shirt in public? Could I trot it out in front of my father-in-law on vacation? Could I wear it with my students? And though wearing a shirt that says clit on it is hardly radical, it still somehow felt dangerous to me. So I had to think about that, about why it felt taboo, and I had to think about doing the work, about showing up even when it's hard, even when it's something as basic as wearing a t-shirt. I had to think about attending to the world in all its difficulty, about seeing the world and engaging with the world honestly so that others can too, about saying the thing no one else wants to say, because if you want things to change, it has to start somewhere, and hopefully if I'm lucky, the next time someone says, she's so exposed in an art museum, I'll be wearing a solid gold clit shirt. For the past 4 years, you have taught me how to show up and do the work every single day. You don't need me to tell you how to do that. But as you move on to whatever's next for you, I hope you'll keep doing it. Stepping into yourselves, naming that which is difficult, spending time really learning to see a thing, to understand it, to love the world by bearing witness, and to bring wherever you go that power with you, which is, and always has been, solid gold. Thank you. Oh dear. Now I'm embarrassed. Thank you. I have to make an announcement. You guys have to stop this. Thank you. Also, go buy that t-shirt. We can all wear them. At this time, please welcome Sweetbriar's a cappella club, the Sweet Tones, as they perform the Sweetbriar song, after which the class of 2026 will receive their Sweetbriar Rose.
Hey, okay, there we go. My name is Sydney Nichols, and I am reading the poem Remember Woman by Reese Leva. Remember, woman, you were born life giver, miracle creator, magic maker. You were born with the heart of 1,000 mothers, open and fearless and sweet. You were born with the fire of queens and conquerors, warrioress, blood you bleed. You were born with the wisdom of sages and shamans, no wound can you not heal. You were born the teller of your own tale, before none should you kneel. You were born with an immeasurable soul, reaching out past infinity. You were born to desire with passion, abandon, and to name your own destiny. Remember, woman, remember, you're more than you can see. Remember, woman, remember, you are loved endlessly. Remember, woman, your power and grace, the depth of your deep sea heart. Never forget, you are woman, divine as you have been from the start. Thank you. Now we will have another musical performance, Shadia Suleiman, who will be singing Good Riddance, originally written and performed by Green Day.
Hello. Another turning point, a fork stuck in the road. Time grabs you by the wrist, directs you where to go. So make the best of this test and don't ask why. It's not a question, but a lesson learned in time. It's something unpredictable, but in the end is right. I hope you had the time of your life. So take the photographs and still frames in your mind. Hang it on a shelf in good health and good time. Tattoos of memories and dead skin on trial. For what it's worth, it was worth all the while. It's something unpredictable, but in the end is right. I hope you had the time of your life. Something unpredictable, but in the end is right. I hope you had the time of your life. It's something unpredictable, but in the end is right. I hope you had the time of your life.
Hello, everyone. My name is Gracie Shipley, and I would like to share a reflection I've written about my and also our collective journeys to this moment, the day before our graduation. Why are we here? Not literally, I know we're graduating, but why are we in this specific room and these specific rows with these specific roses? And to any faculty that are here and any underclassmen, why are you here? Why did you pick this place? As for me, I would like to tell people that it was the campus cats roaming around during my tour that sold me, but Sweetbriar women do not lie. That scared girl who showed up just weeks before graduating high school, who had never gone on a college tour before, didn't fall in love with this place for its pretty trees, roaming cats, or even its theater program. She saw safety. This place is tiny, hardly bigger than my graduating high school class. It's close to home. It's really close to my second home at my grandparents' house. And more than that, with so few people, I knew I wouldn't have to compete. I knew if it was small enough, even if they had to give me a role just because no one else would want one, and I would have to be included. But I also saw something in this place when I got here, something beyond that fear. No, admissions department, I can't pinpoint something exactly for you to add to your surveys. It was just a feeling. My mom let me pick out one souvenir from the bookshop, and I chose an ID card holder because I knew this was where I wanted to go, and I needed a place to put my ID for the first day. The moment I got home to Mechanicsville, I ran to my dad, and I begged him to put down the deposit because I had already canceled my ODU tour on the way home. And he told me that before every major decision, you should always take time to sleep on it and pray over it. So that night, because I didn't want to lie, I recited the prayer we always say at dinner before I went to bed, and the next morning I bounded into the room and said, "Okay, I prayed and I slept. Can we put the deposit down now?" I find it so interesting hearing everyone else's stories of how they got here. For some, it was an athletic team or the writing program, financial aid. For others, it was family history. And for some, this was the place to land when other plans just didn't work out. And as far as I can tell, if you want to come to Sweetbriar, you can. And yet, somehow, Sweetbriar has curated a group of remarkable individuals that would be impossible to recreate anywhere else. I look around this room and I am amazed at what our class brings to the table. But Sweetbriar has always been like this. It's why we've been around as long as we have. Our founding came from a mother's grief, who instead of sitting in her despair, put forward the effort and resources to give others the chance her daughter never had. Those first students stood out in a time where women still made up a small minority of those in higher education. Generation after generation of small but mighty classes have come to this school and made it their own. In 1908, a group of passionate, theater-loving students formed Paint and Patches before modern theatrical lighting was even invented. I exist in a chain of over 100 Paint and Patches vice presidents who came before me. Those brave students started the tradition of tap clubs, pillars of our campus community, and where a lot of us feel connection and camaraderie for the rest of our lives. For others, the pride and joy of this school are their small interest clubs, and they have changed and evolved over so many years. Clubs for books, board games, ballroom dance, and anything else that you can think of. We established a student government to address our concerns with care and attention. There's a club council, an event planning committee, and a judicial panel run by our students. We formed clubs and community spaces for so many minority groups on campus, communities that would have been unthinkable in 1901 under the conditions of the founding of our college. That was the work of a student body who fought and refused to back down, and continues with a community who fights for the changes that still need to happen. For over 100 years, students have shaped this place into the Sweetbriar they want it to be, because each year, intentional or not, Sweetbriar brings in a class full of leaders. Before the creators of the leadership course start getting too excited, we are not leaders because we wrote a leadership essay for Consequential Citizen, or because we took a few classes about life skills and ethics, though that might be a small part of it. At the end of each year, our student leaders fill the entirety of Josie Dining Room at the annual officer transition meeting, and we've got enough regalia from clubs, organizations, and honor societies to prove it. And for those without any decoration, know that in this small school, it's impossible not to leave an impact, no matter how small, and I am thankful for the impact that you have made. In 10 years, when we're up for promotion at wherever we end up, our employers aren't going to care what a bum chum or a neophyte is. They probably won't even know where Sweetbriar is unless we tell them. But what they will see is how capable we are. We see what needs to change, we see who needs help, we see what concerns our community has, and we face them head on. We will be the people who step up in our homes, our communities, and do what needs to be done. We will be the ones who go out and make change. Those are things that extend beyond any institution. Athletic fields are not the places that won games, the students did. The theater is not who made the shows happen, the students did, and Cheryl. The boathouses didn't throw amazing parties, we did. And those academic buildings are not the ones who taught us all we know, our faculty did. We are the ones that kept traditions going, clubs running, and have put in the work to be sitting in this room today. We are not graduating from this building, we are graduating from each other. For 4 years, we stood together as a group of remarkable people, and now we part ways to do what we were always destined to do. It doesn't matter if there were any tiffs or grudges between us. I mean it when I say that I am so happy I got to know each and every one of you. When I cross that stage, I won't be thinking of a building. I'll be thinking of the students joining me in that very small but very proud line. So holla holla, seniors. It has been an honor and a privilege to share these last 4 years with you. Thank you. And now, Senior Class Representative Maeve Delaney will do our closing.
Good afternoon, class of 2026. Thank you to everyone who has shared, especially Dr. Nevison, for joining us as our faculty speaker. It has been a joy to grow with all of you, and it is my pleasure to give closing remarks today. A lot has changed since we got our daisies, and the graduates sitting before me today have stepped into themselves and more than earned their roses. Today is our last full day together, so take a moment to appreciate the people, places, and experiences that have brought us here today. Sweetbriar has been the place where I have found my voice, and I found my best friends. I can't thank them enough for being here for me always and supporting me through every hurdle the past 4 years. I believe that it is the people who make a place, and while our campus is beautiful and has provided us with opportunity after opportunity during our time here, it won't be the same without each of us. Thank you. Dr. Pillsbury will now deliver our benediction.
Let us pray. As you leave this space, enjoy the beauty of this place and continue to share with your family and other friends the joy of your friendships here. I lift up my eyes to the hills from whence, where is my help to come? May our Creator's blessing be upon you now and always. Go in peace and joy. Amen.